Hello there, class. Today we're going to be talking about a new project here that I want you to build. It's going to be relatively important as we're going to be using it later on. Now, this is the actual project here. I'm going to run it and show you what it looks like. What I've done is built a little program that allows us to move around here. So, for example, type in a location I want to go to, north, south, east, west. Notice there's a little map here. Now I have combined the Death Star and the White House into a conglomeration here, and we're going to be walking around it. Now I can type in east, south, north, west, and I'll move to that location. You move east, the Darth House. I am in the Darth Oval. Darth Trump is in great discussions with Emperor Putin. You see several stormtroopers in the main lobby. So if I go south, I'm in the control room. There's a big red button that says do not press. There's another smaller button that says maybe don't press. West. We're in the trash compactor. You're standing in a smelly room filled with trash. You find a bloody message on the wall. Count Epstein didn't kill himself. And then of course I can go north. So basically I can go around in a little circle. Now if I try to go west when I'm not supposed to, it'll tell me I can't go that way. South. And I just kind of made up some rooms with some fake names and whatnot. But as you can see, I can move east and west, south, north, and each one has their own little room. This little program, exit, boom, is basically just me walking around a couple of rooms. Let me show you how this works. First off, let's get all this down a little bit. Here we are. We have a map object. So for your project that I called Walkabout, you can just right-click, New Java class, and create Map. Now map is the thing we're going to be walking around. Now I have a couple of attributes here. String name, which is the name of the map. I have a set number of rooms. Descriptions and titles also for each room. So I actually have a 2x2 array, which is just going to be a character where my X is going to be stored. So as I move around, that X just gets transferred to other places so I can kind of see where I'm at. Now the description and titles are exactly that, descriptions and titles. So if I go to a room, it's going to display the description, which is here, and the title. Each one of those is stored in the array. Now there's several ways to do this. Technically the description and title could all be done in one, and I just list the title and the description. I just chose to separate it. But there are other ways we could have done this. But these are my attributes inside my map. Now I have three methods. The map constructor, move, which is the largest, as you can see it's 72 lines, and then display, which displays the wonder that you see here. So let's take a look. My constructor, I just pass the name, and if I wanted to, I could also pass the size of the array, the descriptions and titles and all that other stuff. This would make this incredibly long and lengthy. But I just decided to just go ahead and hard set this into, one map that I'm creating. Now, if I wanted it to be a little more versatile, I would probably pass it, the titles and description arrays, which I would make somewhere else. And then I could make this map anything I want, like any size, any shape. Of course, I could do it the same way here. I would just have to expand what I've got. So for this project, I'm going to tell you that I went the longest possible way to do it. Uh, there are a bunch of shortcuts I could take that would make this, less writing. But it is also, the less writing you do, the more difficult it is. Or I say, the more complicated the code is, and the more difficult it might be to read. So you kind of have to decide whether you're okay making it look more complicated. If you're fine reading it, then that's perfect. Uh, if reading it could become a problem by making it more complex, then you might want to keep it simple even if it is longer. It depends on your personal style and what you're willing to do. Now this is my map, and again, I've got, I can scoot over here a little bit, right here, getting bigger and bigger here. As you can see, my lines are kind of lengthy. The trash compactor room, and then the red button. And of course, we could just press enter here, like so, to keep them all in one line, so we can kind of see it. There we go. And that works perfectly fine. It doesn't affect anything. This will still be pretty much in the same place. You're just tacking two strings together. Notice it adds this plus when I press enter. So either way is fine if you like it better straight, like this. That's perfectly fine. All right. Or if you want to go ahead and just press enter a couple of times for each of these, you can enter it like that. And of course, you can give it whatever descriptions and names you want if you want to make something of your own. Now, move. This is the code that allows us to actually move from room to room. It also will display the, descriptions and whatnot. I can't say that it will display the descriptions because that's what display is going to do, but it allows us to move back and forth. Now there are 4 rooms. So let's discuss here. I'm going to start with this first block. If rooms 0, 0 is equal to apostrophe x. Now, my rooms is a character array, and I put a capital X in that at the start when I do this. So if it equals x, now notice I'm passing it a string dir. That means basically it's going to ask me where I want to go, and I'm going to tell it north, south, east, west. If it's north, and I have it set for all lowercase, you could add in dot equals dot, 2 lowercase or something like that. Dir dot 2 lowercase. If you wanted to ignore case, we've done that before. But you can just leave it as is, as long as you type in lowercase. Well, can I go north? Well, if I'm in 0, 0, this is 0, 1, this is 1, 0, this is 1, 1. Those are my arrays there. If I'm in 0, 0, I can't go north. I can't go west. I can go south. I can go east. Now going south puts me in 1, 0. So I go from 0, 0 to 1, 0, right? So notepad, if I were just to 0, 0, 0, 1, write out the map. And I find this helps a lot whenever I'm doing anything like this. 1, 1. So if I go to the right, what changes? That second number. If I go up, that first number subtracts for both of these. If I go down, the first number increments. If I go left, that second number decreases. If I go right, that second number increases. So there is a pattern that we can use. And once we use this pattern, we can actually use this to write a whole lot less. Now I'm going to tell you, I did not use this pattern for this, because if I did, I could probably do this in just a couple of lines instead of the 72 that I have. But I did it long ways because it's a little bit easier to understand. So let's start with the first if. If room 00 is X, that means I'm standing in room 00. If my direction that I said I wanted to go was north, well, I print out you can't go that way. If my direction is south, well, according to my map, I can definitely go south. That puts me in room 10. So we take a look. If it's south, I print off the message you move south. I make the current room a blank space, and I make the 10, which I moved to, have an X. And then all these are else ifs, so they're not going to happen. And if I type in else, it's just going to display, what, you're fired. Anything other than north, south, east, west. Although exit will probably still do that, so technically I should probably still have an exit in here when I type that in, but that's fine. So I can move south, and I change the rooms. I can't move west, so you can't go that way. East, I move east, and I adjust the arrays from 00 to 01. And again, east would be from here to here. 00 to 01, 00 to 01. And then I'm at the end of that if. That's all the range for. Now if I had an up and a down, or something else there, enter a doorway or something, then I may have extra things. Now this actually kind of comes back from an old game I used to play. Well, they used to have a bunch of them. They were called MUDs, Multi-User Dungeon. They were all text-based games you could play. You would move around, to each room. You could see people moving around and talk to them. Two things. It's basically a text-based RPG, but online. And it kind of follows the same tenets. Now, else if I'm in room 01. Well, if 01 is X, means I'm in that room. Can I go north? Well, according to my chart, I cannot. I can't go east either. I can only go west and south. So I take a look. All right, 01, I can't go north. I can go south, so I add that in just 3 lines of code. I make the current room blank and put my X in the new room. If I want to go west, well, I adjust. And copying and pasting this can make this pretty easy, but you can also mess up the numbers here, so I would caution you. The easiest way to do this would just be copy, paste, change the numbers. But you got to make sure you actually change all the numbers properly. If you leave one wrong, your little dude will move, I'm going to move down, and you'll end up like over here or something because you didn't change the numbers properly. So this is 01, and you see I have north, south, west, east. 10, meaning if I'm standing in room 10, and this is where I could just copy paste. So if I'm north, well, in 10, I can move north. If I just take a quick look at the thing here, I am in 10, I can go north, I go to 00, right? So if I say north while I'm in room 10, I go to 00. I can't go south, I can't go west, I can't go east. Or rather, actually, let's see, north, I can go north, south, west, east I can. I had that space there, it's throwing me off. Just like that. So this would be for 10. Now the last room is 11. This means that I'm in room 11, I can go north, I can go east, and the other 2 directions I can't go. So I just copy that. And of course you could use a switch case if you prefer to. Might be a good way to change it up a little. Switch case. And then I have this else. I have no idea what's going on. And that's basically, if I didn't type in north, south, east, west, it will go to this. So this is the entirety of that method, and this is most of the work for this project. So we take a quick look. I'll scroll down. 1, 0, 1, 1. And then the else. Now, that's the end of move. Now, the display, I have this. Display the name, display the rooms, and I have like a little map that's getting displayed here. That could be its own separate method, provided it was big enough. Or you can make it print, no matter the size. That's not too difficult to do if you remember my Connect 4 version. And then I have, if room is 0, 0, display the titles for that. If room is 1, 0, display the titles for that. If room is 1, 0, or 0, 1. And again, there is much shorter ways to do this than just doing it this way. I could use a while loop, for example, to figure out which room it is and display that one. And I would need like 3, 4 lines of code instead of all these. If I had 20 rooms, that would definitely be more beneficial than handwriting each one of these, which is what I'd have to do in that case. And this would be end if end display. And that is the end of the map right there. So my whole display is just this right here. Now that is the entirety of that program, and that's actually almost all the work. The only other file is the main, and if I go to that, this is all it is. It's quite literally just a handful of lines. You'll see my main. I've got from 11 to 19. There is, other than the scanner up here, quite literally only like 8 lines of code for this to run. Well, if you count that brace, maybe 9 lines of code. But as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. I create the map with the name, and if I wanted to make that a little more, flexible, that wouldn't be that hard. I have my command, and while that command is not exit, it's going to display, which displays the map and the location. So m.display would, there it goes, display this right here. The room map, and then the description and title. Now, what direction would you like to move in? Or would you like to quit? Or would you like to, or exit to quit? I take the input, and then I call m.move, C. So C is the direction I typed in. I type in north, it will come in here to move, and it's going to check first to see what room I'm in. Once it finds the room I'm in, I typed in north. You can't go that way. And that's exactly what it would display. So I run it. I go north. You can't go that way. Gotta remember this thing shuts off after like 15 minutes, 16 minutes or something. So, now, there you go. Now if I type in south, and I'm in this first room, well, let's see. I'm in room 00, 0. What happens when I type in south? There's south. I would move south, and it would change my location to 1, 0. So 1, 0 is this bottom one. So let's just take a quick check. I type in south, and sure enough, I moved to 1, 0. East moves me to 1, 1. North, 1, 0. West, 0, 0. Exit shuts the whole thing down. This main loop is waiting for me to type in exit. So since I typed in exit, the loop quits, and there's no code after that, so it ends. And this is Walkabout. So as you can see, it's all self-contained in the map. It is a little lengthy at the move. Now, if I wanted to add more rooms, imagine, basically I just have to kind of copy and paste more of these. But again, there is an easier way. I don't necessarily, to give you a hint, I guess, I can use loops to go in and check which room has the X. And then, using that left +1, down minus, or down up, up minus, left minus, basically there's a little bit of math you can do going left, right, up, down, and all that to move different places. So if you want to try that like as a challenge, see if you can shorten this. Because this thing can be shortened to quite literally just like, several lines of code. And I could make this thing of 30 by 30 and the code here would not change. It would still be the same, which is one of the nice things when you really know how to program. You can program something that will work universally for whatever the size is. And that's ideally what you want. You don't want it to be, hard coded like this. So if I want to add something else, well, now I have to go in and add in a whole bunch of code. That's really tedious and time consuming, especially on projects that, have to grow. Now, in school projects, it doesn't really matter. I would tell you whichever makes more sense, but you should still attempt to understand how to shorten it a little bit, because that will only help you in the future. And when I show you the solution, it will be the shortened solution for any project usually. The initial one like this I gave you will be the longest possible route for most things, although this could be a lot longer depending on what I did. But as you can see, there are ways to basically turn this from 100 and something lines to probably 30 really quite easily. All right, well, if you have any questions or anything like that, let me know.